Good morning, everybody. I hope you're well. We're going to get straight into the psalm this morning because it's quite a long one today. It's Psalm 25. Let me read it to you. To you, O Lord, I lift up my soul. O my God, in you I trust. Let me not be put to shame. Let not my enemies exult over me. Indeed, none who wait for you shall be put to shame. They shall be ashamed who are wantonly treacherous. Make me to know your ways, O Lord. Teach me your paths. Lead me in your truth and teach me. For you are the God of my salvation. For you I wait all the day long. Remember your mercy, O Lord, and your steadfast love, for they have been from of old. Remember not the sins of my youth or my transgressions. According to your steadfast love, remember me, for the sake of your goodness, O Lord. Good and upright is the Lord. Therefore he instructs sinners in the way. He leads the humble in what is right and teaches the humble his way. And the paths of the Lord are steadfast love and faithfulness for those who keep his covenant and his testimonies. For your name's sake, O Lord, pardon my guilt, for it is great. Who is the man who fears the Lord? Him will he instruct in the way that he should choose. His soul shall abide in well-being, and his offspring shall inherit the land. The friendship of the Lord is for those who fear him, and he makes known to them his covenant. My eyes are ever toward the Lord, for he will pluck my feet out of the net. Turn to me and be gracious to me, for I am lonely and afflicted. The troubles of my heart are enlarged. Bring me out of my distresses. Consider my affliction and my trouble, and forgive all my sins. Consider how many are my foes, and with what violent hatred they hate me. O guard my soul and deliver me. Let me not be put to shame, for I take refuge in you. May integrity and uprightness preserve me, for I wait for you. Redeem Israel, O God, out of all his troubles. What is a good life in this world? It's a big question. It's one of the questions that people have been asking for centuries. It's one of the big questions of philosophy and theology and all those kinds of things. What is a good life? And it's brought out in this psalm, and you would expect it to be, because this is one of those psalms which is known as a wisdom psalm. It's like the book of Ecclesiastes, the book of Proverbs. It's about discovering God's wisdom, discovering the best way to live. And the psalmist wants to know what that way is, particularly in a world full of selfish ambition, of treachery, of deceit, of cruelty. In a world where kindness and generosity and mercy are seen as weaknesses to be exploited rather than as strengths to be celebrated. And there would be no point in kindness, generosity and mercy if God himself were not kind, generous and merciful. If the one who created the universe didn't display those characteristics, then what would be the point in any other creature under the sun displaying those things? But he is. That is his character. He is kind, he is gracious, he is merciful. And so the very best we can do, the best life we can live, is a life that trusts in him. In verses 1 to 3 and verses 6 and 7, it talks about trusting in God, trusting in the God who will vindicate the psalmist, even although all these enemies surround him. Trusting in the God whose steadfast love has been there time and time and time again, and will be there time and time again as the future unfolds, and so he can be trusted. The best life is a life lived learning from God. Verses 4 to 5 and 8 to 10 talk about this. Talk about God teaching us his ways, teaching us what is right, how to live in right ways and in right paths. Learning from God, who is the creator of all things, who knows how all things should work. Learning from him is the way to live the best life. Looking to God at all times, having our focus on him, not distracted by other things. Verses 11 to 18 talk about that idea of abiding in God, of looking to God, of knowing that he is the one who is to be our focus and not anything else in this world. And allowing him then to forgive us as we look to him for that. Allowing him to help us and strengthen us as we look to him for equipping on the journey and for instruction in the way. And then crying out to God when we're in need at the end of the psalm. There is still need, even when we seek to live a life in God. We still come to him in need. We still have troubles. We still have difficulties. We still need his help, his salvation, his rescue. And in all of these things, trusting in God, learning from God, looking to God, crying out to God, there is a sense of waiting for God. And waiting is all over this psalm. There's a lot of waiting here. And waiting is tough. Waiting is one of the hardest things that God calls us to do when we don't know what lies ahead, when we're concerned about where we are just now. We're called to wait on him, wait for him. And that's hard. It's been hard at the moment because for these last months, everything seems to have been waiting, seems to have been on hold until life can get going again, and slowly life is starting to do that. But the waiting time has been hard. Ask David, the psalmist, how easy waiting is. When you're anointed as a teenager by Samuel to be king, and then for years you have to wait for that fulfillment to come. But waiting on God is the essence of wisdom, because only he is fully wise. Only he sees the end from the beginning. Only he knows where the paths lead. And waiting on God is not a passive thing. It's not sitting back and just doing nothing until we have a definitive word from God. It's an active thing. While we wait, we walk in his paths. We actively learn his ways. We follow him. We choose the right paths that he leads us to. And we build for the future by relying on him and on his word, by putting our roots down into him. So waiting on God is not passive. There's lots to do while we wait on God. But it is the essence of wisdom, to wait for the one who rules everything with graciousness, with kindness, with mercy. To look to him and to wait for him every day. I hope that you'll be able to do that and know his presence with you, leading you and guiding you into this day. Take care. God bless.